Hi everyone, so I'm going to be going over how to use the map functionality with vanilla JavaScript. So if you guys don't know what maps are, if you go right over here you can see array.prototype.map. There's just examples on here, documentation on how to use it. And it goes through quite a bit of detail in some areas, and I'll just be going through one example in this video, and there'll be future videos as well where you can watch more examples on how it can be used. But the .map method is actually very important once you start getting into API calls later on. So this is why it's really important to know the basics with JavaScript right now so you're able to use it later in the future. So let's create a new file, and I'll just call it example1.js. And we want to let's just set up an empty array. So I'll just do var new array is equal to, let's put 1, 2, 3, 4, just random numbers. So this is just how you initialize something. And I'm just initializing an array with 4 numbers inside. And what I want to do is I want to actually, let's say I want to set this up as a variable, and I'll just say calling map is equal to array or new array, because right now we have to call that new array that we've just set up. Make sure I spelled correctly. New array. So what we want to do is when we start doing something with this array, we're going to store it in this new variable called calling map. And in the new array, what we're going to do is just put the method, which is .map, and then the brackets. You can see here it even highlights as something different because .map is a method that's already built into JavaScript. So it already knows that this is something special. And in order to actually call each individual value, on the left side, we just put any variable, and then you put like this arrow, and this arrow says, let's do something with each individual variable. And I'm just going to call out each one at a time first. And that's all. It's just going to read each number one at a time. And what I want to do is I want to console.log calling map once that is done reading through everything. So let me just first show you what it'll look like in the terminal so you can get an understanding before I actually fully explain what's going on here. So if I run node example1.js, you can see here that it does call that array as well, each individual values within that array, just by denoting it with this arrow sign. So what's happening here is, if you know anything about like almost like for loops or while loops or something like that, if you just kind of organize it a little bit like this, what's happening here is we're doing something here with this new array that we've initialized at the top, and the new array .map is a method that's built into JavaScript, and we're saying map through, look at each individual value. So when it starts at the top here, it goes to this x value first. The x value first pertains to one value in the array, which is the number 1. And it's saying, do something with this value 1. It's just x, nothing's going to change about it. It's still going to be the value 1. So once it goes down to the bottom here, it's like, oh, we're at the end. Let's go back up to the top again. And it says, okay, we're still mapping through everything in this new array. So what is the next value for x? It's going to be 2. So once 2, it knows it's 2, then it's going to do something with that arrow function. It's going to place it here, and this x value is now 2, but we're not multiplying or doing anything with it. We're just grabbing the value, that's it. And then it goes to the bottom here again, and then it says, oh, we're at the bottom, let's go back up to the top here. And then it says we're mapping through it again. Okay, let's go to this x here, and the next value will be 3. So if this is 3, let's just pass it over here, and we'll do something if we need to. So x is just x, which is the value of 3. So it's just going to stay as the value of 3. Then it's going to go to the bottom here, and it's the closing bracket. It says, oh, it's the end. Let's go back up to the top again, and it says, okay, we're going to map through the new array again, and it shows here there's a 4 value, so we take x as 4, and then it says do something with the value of 4, so x is just 4, and then we're going to go back to the bottom here, and it'll try to go back up to the top, and it'll check this new array. Is there anything after 4? No, it's the end, so it already knows that it needs to end this entire call. It doesn't need to do anything else, and it's just going to store all the values in this variable called calling map. And when we call the calling map, you can see here that it'll just console log it out. And since we're not doing anything special with the value, it's just going to display the exact same thing in the array, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is what is being outputted, which is the exact same values. Of course, you can always like multiply the numbers or do something with it. So if I multiply it by 2 over here, so each time it loops through, it'll do 1 times 2, 2 times 2, 3 times 2, and 4 times 2, and then it'll multiply each number. So if I save it and run the node again, you can see here that each number got multiplied by 2, so it's double the number of what it used to be before. And this is how you work with dot maps.